We go.
Oh, we're nearly there. Are we live?
I'm
Are we
pretty
live
sure
yet?
we are.
Are we live?
Pretty
Are we
sure we
there?
are.
Tell me we're live.
Quick, chat, tell us if we're live.
Are we
Can you
live?
can you see our faces?
Anybody?
Yeah, we're
Anything?
live.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
oh,
live.
oh. Okay. Well, hello, we're live, and we are here much quicker than last time, so that's good. Well done.
Progress.
Thank you to our wonderful mustachioed friend Shey for getting this job done. We love you very much. Thank you for joining us for 9 out of 10 testers in February. Today we're going to be talking about that title, Software Testing Has Failed. Can we still fix it? We're going to try and be as restrained as we can humanly be, whilst retaining a delightful, ranty flavour. So, my name's Chris Armstrong. I will be your host today, but let's face it, we don't really need one. Let's introduce ourselves. Veerle first, please.
My name is Veerle and I'm a software tester from the Netherlands, and I'm very angry about the state of technology.
Shey.
Hey, I'm Shey. I'm senior QEM at EasyJet, and this moustache comes with some rants.
Oh, baby. Sanne.
Hi, I'm Sanne Visser. I'm working with Bartels and I introduced the topic, so we'll see where we go.
And Hanna.
I'm Hanna and I work as a software tester at Visioneye.
Beautiful, wonderful stuff. If you like our faces, some of us are going to be at PeersCon in less than 3 weeks, including a keynoter.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
OMG. How
Oh my
exciting is
God.
that? So get
That
your
is very
tickets now,
exciting.
friends. That's what we want to see because you want to see Veerle do a keynote. That's the place to be. We love it. Now, Sanne, you're to blame for this topic. Kick us off, please.
Ah, well, we've noticed, I think, examples, lots and lots of examples of platforms actively getting worse. Like our tech seems to be degrading in front of our eyes. It's crumbling. It's no longer enjoyable. And as somebody that absolutely adores good software, it just hurts my heart. And I'm wondering, have we failed? Have we, as quality people, completely failed our users, our tech? What's going on?
Well, what is going on? Where do you want to start?
That's quite a big and meaty topic, isn't it? Hey.
Yeah, but I think, just to like today I had a new laptop and you have to set that up and just the entire process of setting up something that should be delightful. It's a wonderful new computer. It's a great machine, but it's like every step of the way. Do you want to share like data analytics with this company? No, I do not. Do you want this bit of bloatware from the manufacturer? No, I actively do not. Do you know we can manage your battery in a more optimized way? I have it attached to a power cable 90% of the time. I don't care how you optimize my battery. Please just go away with all that stuff. And then the most annoying part is like once you have the whole thing set up, it becomes like this little edge program like screaming for its life, like, please don't delete me. You want to use Microsoft Edge. You want to not switch to another browser. It's like,
Do you know what
and
it
they're
feels
so
like to me?
pathetic.
Edge
Do you
is
know
the
what
new
it feels
Clippy.
like?
So, discuss.
Right. Have you ever been at like a public square or a park and there's like a ton of pigeons and the tourists maybe feed them a lot and so the pigeons keep sort of like edging up to you and they want you to feed them as well and you're like, I don't have any bread and even if I did, I
I'm not
wouldn't
going to give you my
give
data
you it.
crumbs.
But like there's like it starts with one pigeon and then there's more and more and at some point you have to like shoo them away and they all kind of go like no 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 and then they come back.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. Like it's the tech equivalent of the manky urban pigeons that keep coming back and they want something from you. And they don't even seem to care if they're realistically going to get it from you. There's no way of getting rid of it. And it weirds me out.
And sticking to your metaphor, I kind of want to feel like we need to be the people training the hawks that come in and kind of just pick off those fucking pigeons. Like,
Yeah, man.
I do think we have some responsibility here because we're a part of the system and we kind of just accept it. And that's the other thing that annoys me. We're quite capable of wading through the ocean of kind of rotten nonsense and selecting the right little default buttons. But geez, what about people that aren't as capable or don't think about it as much? And it's like accept those cookies and have those
Oh,
issues.
I
Like,
feel like I've inadvertently sort of launched the perfect metaphor because the problem with the urban pigeons as well is that people keep feeding them, people who don't know any better, people who don't really care too much, or people just leave accidental food lying around. Like it will be in the rubbish bins, it'll just be around, like you eat your sandwich, there's crumbs all over the place. Um, and there's no way of stopping them. And you know what you need to do? You need to get local government involved that puts up signs being like, please don't feed the pigeons. And I feel like we're in that situation. I feel like we're not going to manage this if we leave it up to everyone's best behavior.
Do you think signs are the best way? Because I
No,
find people get a
definitely
lot of
not. No, no,
messages
no, they're
and then
rubbish.
they
I think
ignore
you need to
those
go in with a
things.
big stick and no, just
it'd be
kidding.
nice
Can
to
I
have that, wouldn't
can
it?
I share can I share just a little recent software frustration?
Go
Yes.
for it.
Yes.
So
This,
I
is
use
this
an
a story time?
I think you might call it a story time, but
Cue the
Yes.
story time music.
I use a little known tool called Spotify, and um on Spotify I've curated, added to many playlists and things like that, and I typically like to listen to them on shuffle. That's a normal way of doing it. I have no interest in being given new music, and I have no interest in listening to it unshuffled. An
Hmm.
album I'll listen to unshuffled, but I will intentionally do that. My default setting is shuffle. But when my phone, where I listen to my music, connects to a new device, whether that's headphones, the car, it defaults back to not shuffle.
Yeah.
And it started doing that a lot more recently. And I really get quite angry and I don't like it. There's nothing I can do about it. And you were saying like defaults changing and people not knowing what to do. Like there's a lot less music I would listen to because it's doing that, let alone all the garbage when it used to throw songs I didn't want to listen to onto my playlist.
well, that's the thing. I think even when you love a bit of software, and I'll give a similar example to Spotify, I absolutely adore the places where I read audiobooks. And I'm a super user there. But they have both now introduced like a part of their segment has it be open and unlimited, except it's not. At some point, I will find that limit and they will start making books unavailable to me. And I would literally pay them more dollars to just keep those books available to me. Like I would be happy to, I already have a premium paid subscription on both platforms, but they just there's this weird money thing where they don't want you to actually read more books, which is insane. And it's just like that's software I like. And even that is just become a little bit more shitty.
I think I would
Yeah.
like to make the distinction quickly between software that is just shitty for the user, which is annoying, and which is where I feel like we might have a role. But then there's also software that is actively evil. And that's where I struggle to see my role as a software tester being able to make a difference. Like if you design software to trick users into doing things they don't want to do, if you trick people into subscriptions, if you design your user flows so that people will accidentally um, choose the wrong thing or not be able to find maybe something that they need. I'm like,
Mm.
how can we as software testers change that? Because the software was designed to confuse you. So it works very well. It works as designed. What are we testers gonna do about that? We're not the people who decide what gets built.
I think we need to be allowed as part of our daily routine to punch marketeers because they're the ones, right? And this is because I worked for a while in a marketing company and it was all about getting as much data on the user as possible to serve as much data to the user as possible about the products that they want. It never, just I'm riffing here, but in my experience, I I've never heard a project manager, unprompted by marketing, go, you know what we need? More cookies. Or you know what we need to do? We need to make that subscribe button so much bigger and actually on the screen right in front of the user, and the cancel link button, whatever, off in a different universe. You know, that kind of stuff. Said no project manager ever. I mean, I know project managers, well, they should get a punch every day as well, a lot of them. But marketeers, it's all about the marketing problem. How can we gather more data? How can we? So if we want to make software less evil, let's get rid of the devils. Or
I
just
think
punch them every day. Walk in the office. They can stand in a line. We can just smash them all in the face and then get on with our lives. What do you reckon? Come on, people. Oh, who's with me?
I think you're touching on something that especially a colleague of ours, Micah Brinkoff, has written and spoken a lot about, which is what she called the fifth dimension or the fifth level, I think, which is like this is a decision that is so much above the heads of most software teams, where it's like at a product level or, like you said, a marketing level. And that becomes the kind of the final super boss level to be, right? If you want to influence these kind of issues, that's where you need to be having the seats at the table. And how many of us realistically are there? And just shout out to Micah for all her great content, because like she's influenced us a lot lately.
yeah.
I just dropped the
Yeah,
link to the article that you were talking about into
Yeah,
the
that's
chat.
perfect.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, love to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it is difficult. I mean, you know, I did mention cookies, and you know, if you want to trigger me, go and I pass my phone to you, and a cookie notification comes up. Hit accept all. I will punch you in the throat, which is nearly what I had to do to a friend the other night. I am really good at curating my cookies, and I literally go through and go, no, 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 legitimate interest, fuck off, all of that stuff.
I do
Really,
that as well.
I will take 20 minutes to decline all cookies for the 2 seconds on that article that I want to read. Okay, that's how militant I am.
Yeah.
And somebody the other day, I handed my phone to them, and they picked it up and they went accept all to look at something I was
That's
showing.
as bad as
The
swiping in the
worst.
wrong direction on photos. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Are you
So
even
you're going to go
friends
somewhere different with
anymore?
the swiping then.
yeah, I know. I didn't see the end of that sentence coming.
You're hearing what you want to hear.
So okay, so let's say in a slightly more positive news, you know how Google has recently announced that basically they used to pretend to have ethics, and now they have just completely thrown overboard any pretense of ever having had ethics.
Yeah, I saw that.
And yeah, and it's quite frankly very dystopic and very worrying. And at the same time, I feel like it is also making me and a lot of other people think a lot more about what are we actually even fucking doing online? Like, who are these people? Who are these companies that we have for years willingly given our information and our interests and all of our data to? And so it has made me move away from a few products that I've actually used sort of unthinkingly or sort of reluctantly, but not reluctantly enough. And it's made me move away from Chrome and Google searches. So I now exclusively use DuckDuckGo, and they've also got an app. And Shey, this one's for you. They've got that feature built in. So I used to have to spend, I don't know how much time in my life rejecting cookies. And now I've got an app that most of the time, let's say 90% of the time, does it for me. And if I had known that that feature was a thing, I would have stopped using Chrome probably years ago.
What are you going to do without all those
Watching in
lovely
black and white,
Gemini
that was-
suggestions, Veerle? I mean, that AI's like you're going to be missing out on all of the real validity of those responses.
Can we talk about AI being pushed into things? And whilst we're on it, let's go
That's
a
a dark
step
pattern.
back. Let's go a step back. Do you remember when it was normal for washing machines to not be a computer? And now suddenly your washing machine can connect to the internet. Why? Why do we need that?
I would just point out here now, Søren's just asked if you think Microsoft's better, and I've noted that Hanna has particular feelings about companies using Teams.
I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite tool at all. And it seems to be the default tool of every single company nowadays, which is, yeah, I mean, it literally killed my old laptop. I mean, once COVID hit and we had to start using Teams, my laptop would, like, if I shared my screen, it would lag like 5-6 seconds.
Oh,
And I
man.
mean,
Was
it
that a
had worked.
Microsoft laptop as well? Just all optimized for Microsoft goodness.
Probably.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a Windows computer, so yeah, I still had issues with it. But I was fine because the camera used to be in the bottom of the screen, which is also such a stupid tech thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, no one looks good in the angle that like up your nose. So I mean, I'm not going
I
to
used to put
complain.
mascara on my nostril hairs.
Yeah, just to have
Yeah.
them nice and pretty.
Pretty much. And if you type something when you're in a meeting, you look like you have the most like the giant hands. It looks really weird. But yeah, I mean, I am not a fan, and I'm not finding, well, especially now that teams have changed as well. It's hard to find chats. It's hard to find channels. I'm
It's
confused.
hard to find flipping anything.
Yes.
There's a million buttons, and none of them are in the place where you expect them,
Yeah.
and none of them do what you think they're gonna do.
No.
It's bizarre.
Do you
Can I
also have
give
a
you
way?
the two worst Microsoft things that
Go
I
on.
think you're all going to agree on? One is the fingerprint login thing, where no matter how well you do that, it will tell you, use another finger. I'm like, yeah, sure, here we
I
go.
don't have another
That's it.
finger
This one.
registered on this device. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I know. I
That
get
one
so
is
annoyed.
awful. And the other one, the biggest lie of all, the thing that absolutely makes me so mad every single day that I almost throw the thing out of the window is the following. That little checkbox, keep me signed in. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
an utter lie.
Yeah.
It
You
never
do-
does.
Oh,
No.
it doesn't work. What are you talking about?
Promises,
Keep me signed in.
promises.
It's just false promises. And that's not even a dark pattern. That's just some idiotic little button that's supposed to make your life easier. And it almost pretends to.
Isn't
Yeah.
that true of
Makes it worse.
your audio setup as well? Have you not gone from Teams call to Teams call and you had it just work perfectly with your audio,
Yeah.
video,
Yeah.
and everything, and you've gone to another Teams call and
wipes
suddenly
everything.
nothing works?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
up with that?
Like, I haven't changed my tech. How come you're not detecting any of the
I
software
call
and
that
stuff I
the
use?
ritual of the headphones. And
Yeah.
I am trying to make it into a little moment of mindfulness before a call. Unsuccessfully so far, by the way.
It's the office Macarena, isn't it? Click, 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 click. Hey, you know, it
Worst.
really is.
Yeah, but when you're locked in through your clients or through your work, it's something you have to deal with. Like we are all very familiar with Teams because we don't want to be on there, but we kind of have to be.
I mean, this is the thing, right? We're all of the industry. You know, we're all in here. You know, to this day, it's still crazy how many people are out. How many of us make software, or us in general, thinking that it's only going to be used by us. So it's like, oh yeah, you know, no worries. Well, why didn't you just click that button there? It's so obvious. Well, it's
It's not.
obvious to you who works in tech and has 1,000 other things with a similar sort of UX.
Yeah.
Because UX designers, let's face it, they're just like marketers without a brain cell. So, you know, it's all the same. They just copy it, copy, paste. So, you know, there's no difference. But if Granddad doesn't see that button on that piece of software, he's not going to see it on the next or the next.
So we've got a comment here from Rich that might help us with the conversation. He says, so software testing has failed. Well, no, not really, because all these things you're discussing so far work from a tech software perspective. They just don't work on a human ethical perspective.
Yeah.
Can most testers influence that? And how?
And
I
that's
guess, is
actually,
the one.
I think, the thing we mentioned at the beginning. Like, it works as designed. It's designed to be shitty. It's designed to ruin your lives. I'm sure of that at this point.
Yeah.
And so that's what I feel like. Yeah, do we have a responsibility in that? I feel like we do, but realistically, I'm not sure we can actually change that.
Well, I'll hook into that idea because there's the same thing with all systemic issues. That will give the same feeling. Any systemic injustice or problems in our society will feel that way. And this is a systemic degradation of services from our bigger platforms that we are required to interact with. And I don't think as an individual, you're going to necessarily fix a systemic issue like this in one big go. but I do think it's necessary to rebel in constructive ways. Like
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
think we can think of some ways that we can definitely fight against this nonsense. And one of the ways I'll suggest right now is kind of put your money where your mouth is. Because we do love tech, we do tend to pay for good software. Like
Mhm.
all of us, I'm sure, have paid money for favorite tools, supported favorite ad blockers, given a buck or two to Wikipedia.
Signal.
Maybe more
Donate
examples.
to Signal.
Donate to Signal. There you go.
What's that? Sorry, not WhatsApp. Signal. Okay.
Send your money to Signal. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've been donating to Signal.
there you go.
And that's
All right,
yeah,
okay.
if you
Can
like
I do
something, pay for it.
If you
Yeah,
like
that's
something, pay for it. And
okay. Yeah.
that's the other side of it. Money talks. So the other side of it would be, I think, to stay in that positive mindset. If you can
Mhm.
find anything that will support a different way for a company to make money other than ads, then support the newer like payment models. Like the content platforms like Nebula, where the content creators actually make their own money instead of on the YouTube thing. Um, find those kind of people that are trying alternative ways to make a buck other than ads or these darker patterns and
Mhm.
support those systems as well, because those are usually separate bits of software, like Stripe, I think comes to mind. But there's a couple that are like, oh, that's interesting. You're trying to make micropayments possible or a different stream other than ads.
Mhm.
Patreon is an excellent example. I'm sure Chris is familiar with Patreon.
Yes, all very much so. But you're right, and I think often these things come at a personal cost to us initially. We might get slightly more irritated. We might find there's a little bit more personal friction that we have to sort of deal with. But you're right, if we're in a privileged position to understand and know these things and to hoot and holler about them, maybe we should not just use words to complain about stuff, but to
Mhm.
do actions as well, which I think is a important thing.
You know
And there's
how
this
I
great
think for a
online
long
activism things. I think
Mhm.
Veerle had an example of that.
Yeah, I do have an example of that, but I'm gonna finish my other thought
Yeah,
first.
go for
You know
it.
how for quite a long time we've been saying like if a product is free, then you're the product,
Yeah.
and so you pay in your data. And I feel like maybe in early days of the internet, it was just sort of taken for granted that there was going to be a lot of stuff for free because it was all people who did it just for shits and giggles mostly. Like, does anyone in the chat as well remember newgrounds.com? And it was just full of like silly little flash games and like silly
Oh,
videos. Weeble, like of Badger fame, posted
oh
there, I
yeah.
think, before anywhere else, because the whole internet was just full of like people who
Viking cat.
loved like making silly little things and putting them out there. So I think like we were sort of like raised on the internet expecting that things were going to be free until they weren't. And then we suddenly had to pay for things. You're like, why do I have to pay for this? This was always free. Magic with Trevor. Yeah. Um, you're like, shit was always free. Why do I suddenly have to pay for things? And I feel like now we're at the end of like the next sort of street, like the next sort of side path that we've taken. We're like, okay, actually, we were already paying for these things because the hobby age is over. We went into the ad revenue age. And I feel like maybe if enough people get sick of the ad revenue age, then we can start being like, okay, actually, you know what? I'll just use fewer services, but I'll pay for them. But then
You
again, I feel like all of us working in tech, all of us on a tech salary, that's a decision that we can make. And
Hmm.
not everybody can do that. And then there's also the apps that you're maybe required to use. So maybe like your city council has an app to arrange your payments and stuff. And then it turns out, oh, actually, they've also got a little back door that is also letting third parties
Hmm.
in, stealing your data. So I feel like if you can make those choices, that's really good. And at the same time, I feel like there is enough evil in the world of tech that not everybody will have that luxury position.
It
And
it
that's
is
why
it
I'm
is
still angry
luxury.
about tech.
Yeah, fair
It's
enough.
you reminding me of the song from the Team America World Police movie, Freedom Isn't Free.
Wow, it's been years that I thought about that
Yeah,
movie. That's
true.
bizarre.
Well, to bring us back to a bit of a hopeful note, because that's my role in this conversation, I feel there is a theory that like that's part of like a cycle as well. Like when we move forward in tech and we have these big movements, and I think we're in one right now with the AI bubble and stuff bursting. There's a concept that is called like backlash, which is like with every giant leap forward, there's a big push backward. And I think that that is the exact moment where it is worth staying angry and staying the course to push for better things. But I do think we have that constant cycle of like we feel we're leaping forward and then we get a lot of backlash against like the new stuff. I do think that there's a lot of rot out there. I agree. But I also don't want to feel like I'm constantly fighting these big titans and not having any way of influencing that. So like I kind of want that little way to add to making
Does some
things
of it
better.
come to just like when you see good things and just like rather than spending all our time going, this is rubbish, this is terrible, this is toxic, find the good things and go, look at this good thing. This is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
This is why this thing's awesome. I think, it's tale as old as time, but positive messages seem to just break through and draw people in a positive way, which probably has a longer lasting foundational benefit. Core memories are positive memories and things like that that we have, in our lives. And it's not easy all the time because let's face it, there's a lot of rubbish in the
Yeah.
world. But if we can find the good thing, go, mate, this thing is so good and this is why this is good. Do the good thing.
Like
Can I drop
act-
in?
go
Oh,
for
can
it.
I drop in the story time that you were
Yeah,
asking
go
for
for
or something
it.
because it is actually relevant. So a while ago, I was on Blue Sky because I need to be online somewhere. So I was on Blue Sky and I was reading about this basically a rat line that they had built in one of the first states in the US where like basically being trans was like being criminalized essentially. And so they had like a website where you could sort of like go tell on trans people like existing, I guess. And people found it and were obviously not impressed by it. And they were like, we're gonna spam the fuck out of this thing. And they
Yes.
realized quite soon that like none of the fields had a character limit on it. So there was just one person just on Blue Sky going like, oh yeah, I'm just uploading or I'm just like copy pasting the script to the B movie to every single field and submitting it like every minute. That was one of those moments when I was like, this is why I needed to learn the script at some point in my life. Like, this is
Yeah.
what you need those coding skills for. But I really like that because I feel like, okay, we have established that this thing exists, and people just instantly jump on it and find the sort of like the technological weakness in it to spam it to death. And then I'm also kind of thinking like, I wonder if it was just really badly made by people who don't really know how to build software, or if maybe like I would like to imagine that there was a software tester on the team who kind of went like, you know what? I'm not fucking telling them this. I'm not fucking telling them about this. Um,
Yeah,
so
look,
yeah,
you
I
can
guess.
also dial into the like Google Maps thing. You can report inaccuracies. So you can still go in
Right.
and report that the Gulf of American Idiots actually has another name. You can just report that all day. Like
Point
that
of
is
order,
still
Your
something
Honor.
you can do.
They've stopped that apparently this week.
Yeah. There were
But
too many people.
why don't we all go then and see where it says United States of America and maybe make it United States of Mexico instead?
Yeah, go edit all those pages until like Google Maps becomes completely useless. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
there's another thing. Like, there's alternatives to Google Maps, and because it's so much user driven, like a lot of these platforms, Blue Sky is another great example. They don't even need your money. They just need you to use their software, and it's just great to kind of switch over, go use Signal, go use Blue Sky, go find these other alternatives. And when you do find literal gems, like shout it off the rooftops. And we're lucky we have a platform we can do that with. But even if you don't, just tell your colleague, tell your mom, put DuckDuckGo on everybody's laptop that you encounter from this day forward. Like go do that. I think that helps.
Yeah, I think sort of yeah, speaking to family, friends and whatever and just going, guys, this is going on. This is a way to stop it. It makes it makes you feel good. It makes the internet better. It makes life better. It'll, trust me, in the long run, it's a bit of a learning curve, but let's do this. I think it's important. I mean, We're pretty much all on blue sky now, right? Not
This
getting
is
political.
this is
Political
I'm
adjacent
conscious.
right now in that statement.
I'm conscious now that we're quite close to Sanne's hard stop. So, seeing as you mentioned Blue Sky, Shay, I think maybe this is a chance for us all to tell all of our lovely people in the live chat and maybe watching us back, where you can find us. And Shay, you started us off. Where can people find you?
Well, mostly I'm on LinkedIn nowadays, but I am on all the socials. I'm at Shey Mouse on Instagram, on Blue Sky. Yeah, just pretty much because my name is quite unique. Just do a search and you'll find me.
Hanna,
Please
where can we
don't use
find
Google.
you?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Veerle.
I'm on all the shitey platforms that I always mention, all of the soul sucking. Anyway, you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm still the witch of the test, as I used to be on Twitter when that was still cool. I mostly post absolute bollocks, so please don't go in there expecting quality. And if you would like to see some slightly more quality posts, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Sanne.
Well, tomorrow I just want to shout out you can find me at FrogsConf because we're
Woohoo!
doing our
True,
Frogs
that's
conference all
tomorrow.
afternoon tomorrow. So if you want to talk about this some more and maybe form some groups to wean us off of Microsoft, Google, and all those kind of big platforms, I'm happy to form some groups to kind of wean us off the big bad. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Other than that, you can find me at Tech Sonetized on LinkedIn, Mastodon, and on Blue Sky.
That's perfect. And
You still
FrogsConf is
post under the
awesome.
hashtag tech sanitized as well
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. Yeah, cool.
Perfect. And I can be found at Christofskia on socials that exist, and also testing Pierce stuff. And you will find Veerle on stage at Pierce Con in less than 3 weeks. You will find Sanne doing Defend the Indefensible at the conference also, and you will see some very lovely happy faces at the event. So if you can make it to Nottingham in less than 3 weeks, then we would love to see you there. Otherwise, friends, have a wonderful weekend, and we shall see you next time.
Woohoo!
Woo.
Now,
Bye,
having taken
everyone.
5 minutes to find the start stream, let's find the end stream. Are we done yet?
It's
Are we
We
off?
fine.
can
Are we
sing
gone?
some Weeble
Hang
songs
on.
until that time.
Yeah, go
Wait
for
for
it.
it. Wait for it. Are we there?